Are you feeling not motivated? Instead of spending 18,000 alpha male bootcamp getting yelled by a bald mustache that tried to scam you, you can just play Miyabi to get even more motivated. And do you know what else is even more motivated? Those who freeze to death on the tops of Mount Everest. Yep, that's not the most appropriate jokes. By the way, speaking of freeze to death, MonoIce team would freeze you to the eternity. If played optimally, this team is the strongest team in the entire game. This video will help you to get started with MonoIce team. It's gonna be low investment, it's gonna be easy, but it's not gonna be optimal. Hoshimi Miyabi, the ultimate weapon. Soukaku, the demon of Oni, and this furry butler. Welcome to the section 6 Lycaon. Soukaku is probably the most confusing agent in the entire game. She could be a DPS, she could be a support, and when she's playing in the MonoIce team, her role totally changed. She becomes secondary anomaly. Well, main DPS is self-explanatory. You wanna play around her DPS like using her Bashful Demon along with the Forset Branch and Blaze Saw, then she's gonna be the decent DPS in the early game. And if you play her supportive role, you wanna go with the support Wenjin like the Kaboom and the Game Ball, then slap with set like Astral Voice, cause she also gives a pretty good amount of quick assist, and make sure that your attack is at 2500 so that your teammate could get 1000 attack buff. But when you actually compare her with any other support, especially the A rank, she's not really a good support because you need a lot of maneuvers and a lot of on-field time to buff the team. And the reason why on-field time is such a crucial component is because your DPS could deal more damage and even get more energy, and more energy lead to more ultimate. So generally a good buffer shouldn't have a lot of on-field time. Even though her numbers are pretty decent, but I still wouldn't consider her as a good support because the amount of on-field time that she needs is just not justifiable. And when you are using her buff, you don't want to just hold her skill because it's simply too slow to get the buff. And as you can see here, this is the quick assist. Her 1000 attack buff would pass to the quick assisted characters, like in this case is Miyabi. So how are you gonna buff the teammate even faster? The most general way would be like tap and hold. When you tap and hold, it's gonna be significantly faster than just hold the skill. As you can see here, the comparison. But the reason that she's part of the literally strongest team in the entire game is because she is really good at building up the anomaly, making her an absolutely beast when you play her as a secondary anomaly. So what is secondary anomaly? Yanagi and Piper are pretty good examples of that. Both of them could build a tons of anomaly while using minimal on-field time, and her anomaly is very easy to procs. So that's why like Piper Miyabi or Miyabi Yanagi are such a great team for Miyabi. And this also has to do with how Miyabi attribute works. I think most of you guys know what a disorder is. It's when you procs an anomaly on tops of each other. Like let's say if I build the anomaly with Miyabi first. So here you go, Frostburn. And if I procs Ice anomaly on tops of that, I would get the disorder damage. And the source of disorder damage is 100% coming from Miyabi. But here's the catch. The earlier you procs the Frostburn, the better the damage is gonna be. In fact, I would argue that the Frostburn is the only attribute that actually matter in terms of proxing it early or not. So let's run another test. So if we build up the anomaly with Miyabi first, then we just kind of take our time to build up the Ice anomaly and procs it. Like as you can see, the amount of damage is significantly lower. The exact number would be 22% on 10 seconds and 58% on 19 seconds. So basically, if you proc the Disorder early, you're gonna get a tons of damage from Disorder, but pretty much any other secondary anomaly could do that. But the real reason that makes MonoIce so broken is because the Ice element and the Frostburn element, if you freeze the enemy during the stun window, it would literally freeze the time of the stun by about 3 seconds for every freeze. And the stun window on the boss are 12 to 13 seconds. So if you could freeze the boss for twice, you are getting 50% more stun window. And somebody could do it up to like 33 seconds. And that's why it is the most busted team in the entire game. But of course on a specific boss, that is Ice weakness, because Anomaly would build 25% faster on the weakness boss. And with that, the strongest DPS in the entire game, Miyabi, could optimize her damage during the stun window. Oh, and what attribute is her again? Frostburn. If you proc Frostburn, which also count as Ice, then congratulations, you just got extra 3 seconds of stun window. But wait, that's not it. The other core passive of Miyabi is that when you proc the Frostburn on the enemy and you build another anomaly on top of that, the build up rate would increase by 20%. If I build anomaly on top of the Frostburn, it would build up more than the one without the Frostburn. So that's why playing Soukaku with Miyabi is such a bread and butter. But the problem is, this mechanics is actually very hard to master. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to present you the budget version of MonoIce team. If you are like the absolutely god of MonoIce team, this video is not for you. This video is meant for people who wanna get started with the MonoIce team, so that you would have better time learning the perfect rotation, the god rotation in the future. But most importantly, giving you a more consistent way to get the 9 star in the daily assault, because the build and playstyle that I'm about to show are more consistent than the perfect build that need a really crazy amounts of skill. So for those who are familiar with the MonoIce team, you would know that the best 4 set is the Freedom Blue 4 set, but the problem with this set is that you need to get as much crit rate, crit damage as possible, because her actual source of damage is not gonna be coming from the anomaly and disorder. It's gonna be coming from the crit rate, crit damage. And on top of that, you also want to get your attack up to 2,500 attacks. And that's why I would recommend most of you to go for Branch and Blade Song, because you would simply get a better substat. Because you probably grind a lot for your Miyabi to get the best gear possible. And Soukaku could have just take whatever that is left over from Miyabi. Any leftover pieces from Miyabi are probably really good. And I think it's a perfect way to get started with the MonoIce team, because you don't need to spend extra battery to grind for Soukaku. And the point of using the Freedom Blue is that you want to be able to proc as much freeze as possible during the stun window. But if you couldn't do that consistently, it's better off to just use Branch and Blade Song, because Branch and Blade Song is such a good set. So I ran the test without the signature. The best score I got from Branch and Blade Song is 29k, and the best from Freedom Blue is 30.9k. The differences doesn't seem to be that much, but actually when I tested, I got multiple 29k. It's actually very consistent. But when I play Freedom Blue, most of the time I would get about 27k. And this 30.9k is like coming from 1 out of 10 try. I might happen to get lucky or did something right on the rotation. If you have Yanagi, you might as well as just use the Yanagi, because I got 35k on the Yanagi Astra team. Of course, the number would be lower with other support, so getting better score than the Yanagi team is actually harder than you think. Of course, I ran it without the signature, and when I tried Yuzuha with the Freedom Blue, I got 42k, and after I used signature on the Miyabi, I got 48.9k. And don't use Branch and Blade Song if you're playing with Yuzuha, it's pretty terrible. So these numbers just to give you a better idea of how hard is the MonoIce team. And let's be real, I could consistently get into like top 5%. I don't really think a lot of people could play MonoIce team with the Lycaon better than the Yanagi team. I think I retried for like more than thousands of times, and I still couldn't play MonoIce better than the Yanagi team. But generally, it is good enough for you to get the 9 star in the Deadly Assault, and that's what you should expect. And next time when somebody say that MonoIce team is stronger than the Yanagi team, you could say, yeah, you are right, but I bet you couldn't do it. The main stat that you wanna use are basically the same. This number 6 would be Anomaly Mastery. This number 5 would be 100% attack. Don't use pen ratio and ice because she needs 2500 attacks for the buff. And this number 4 is probably gonna be crit rate. The best 2 set is either Swing Jazz 2 set or the Phaeton's Melody 2 set for the Anomaly Mastery. I actually never tried Swing Jazz 2 set, but that's what other people use because I figured that her skill would need a lot of time to cast, and she does build the anomaly with the basic attack, which gonna benefit from the anomaly mastery, and I also have the good substat on it. The best Wenjin is gonna be the game ball so that it could increase the critical damage so that you could lower your Miyabi's crit rate to get more crit damage. I personally think Kaboom is also pretty close behind it, so it's also a really good choice. Bashful Demon is a no in this team. You wanna use the one with the energy main stat. Now let's get over to the tip that you must learn when you are playing Anomaly Soukaku. This is probably the most important Soukaku tip in the entire video. We talk about how to raise the flag quickly, you tap and hold, and as soon as you see the quick assist is up, you wanna dash cancel into basic 3 and 4 because her basic 3 and 4 would generate a tons of energy, and on top of that, a tons of anomaly builds up, and she would finish all the moveset when you swap her off. And the right moment to swap her off is at the moment when she drag her flag, and you can just let her roll by herself while doing DPSing with Miyabi or any other members. It is a very powerful swap cancel that made this team comp so broken. The reason to do this animation cancel is because it's gonna build up a lot of anomaly while generating energy for the next rotation. But when you are playing MonoIce with Yuzuha, the anomaly builds up could be overkill, and you might not want to use this tech all the time. That's basically my experience when I tested it. Now let's talk about the advanced tech when you are swinging the fan. When you are fanning with Soukaku, the timing could get very tricky, especially when you try to swing 2 or 3 times. But you could actually just spam it and just hold the skill when you swing to the amounts of time you want. Like let's say if I want to swing 3 times, I don't have to time anything. All I do is really to just spam it until it swings the 3rd time, then I hold it. You could also use this tech when you swing twice. So this is my build on Miyabi. Nothing special to be honest. And the build is kind of ass too. Not gonna lie, with Fusion Compiler. Make sure that your Soukaku has over 2500 attacks to get the full buff and get as much crit rate, crit damage possible. And as for Lycaon, picking up some mid 4 set is also pretty good. And as for W Wenjin, I told somebody on the live stream that the fossil is actually better. I was wrong. Whoever you are, I'm so sorry. One thing you want to keep in mind when you are playing the MonoIce team, especially when you are new to the MonoIce, you want to get started with focusing on building up the anomaly. You want to do one thing at a time. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with so many things. You don't want to worry about the stun window. You don't want to worry about the timing. Just build up and make sure that you proc the anomaly interchangeably. And after you use Soukaku's skill, default yourself to use Lycaon when you are not able to proc the ice, or swap to Miyabi right when you proc the ice anomaly. And when you get used to proccing the anomaly interchangeably, then you could move on to the timing. And you want to learn how to proc the anomaly twice at the beginning of the stun window. So I stun with Lycaon whole skill and swap to Soukaku to avoid proccing it. Then I began to freeze it with Soukaku, then follow with Miyabi, and here you go, I proc the ice anomaly twice because I did the setup first. Then I hold attack into Soukaku ultimate, but generally you don't want to do this cause that would waste the stun window's time. But if I were like to be totally honest, you do wanna like run 10-20 times to get the rotation right. You would find yourself doing a lot of retry, doing exactly the same rotation. If you fail, you just simply press restart. And those gameplay you saw on the YouTube, none of them are doing this on the fly. They are doing this after they plan everything out. You can't realistically use the raw skill and expect yourself to perform at the same levels with the video you saw online. Even the run that I'm using right now, I think I retry it for like 50-60 times, and I think this is the thing that pretty much any speedrunner know, but they don't actively talk about it. Anyway, I know that this is like kind of a mediocre gameplay, and if you wanna seek out for the advanced guide, you could check out on this channel. He got very in-depth explanation on how you wanna play the rotation, how you wanna plan the stun window, but even doing exactly everything that he taught in the video, you still gotta take massive amount of effort to actually learn it. I actually looked into his MonoIce Yuzuha rotation. I spent 2 or 3 hours practicing it, but I still couldn't get it right on the first stun window. So don't be surprised when you jump into this deep water of MonoIce. The whole point of the video is to help you get started, and I would argue that this is the easier way. The gear are also easier to grind, and you could commit your time to learn it and grind for the Freedom Blue when you are ready for the advanced stuff. And oops, that's some mistake with the Soukaku. I couldn't proc the quick assist because the mob just dodged it. I really hate that, man. It really is RNG. And I chain attack into Miyabi. The chain attack with Miyabi actually builds up a lot of anomaly though. And I just keep going with Miyabi. Then I use the skill for the Desperate to stack just to hold attack with Miyabi. Then cancel into the Soukaku ultimate again. I could have froze the boss more if I don't use the ultimate there. But that's like the whole point of the video. You could still get a decent score without being perfect. And yeah, I keep focusing on proxying the anomaly interchangeably. And here I don't have enough builds up, so I use Lycaon to prox it. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good one. And see ya guys, man. Don't forget to like and sub.